Thanks for watching Lessons in Minutes with Jaylee. Like, share, and don't forget to subscribe.
Let's talk about the EPortfolio, which is a part of the teacher performance appraisal. Now, why this question? Why EPortfolio? Why doing an EPortfolio? Now, those questions will be answered throughout this presentation and also looking at why we need to prepare a portfolio as a teacher. So a quote right here states, when most of us teach, time constraints and other commitments force us to concentrate on what we teach, namely the content. In creating a teaching portfolio, the key questions are why you teach and how you teach. That is your teaching goals and your objectives for achieving those goals. Okay? Now, what is a teacher professional portfolio? This is a collection of evidence and reflections on that evidence documenting your teaching development and achievement. And we have been going through so many things throughout the year. And what you would want to do is to present all that you have done in order to get your job done for the year. And of course, throughout it and at the end of it too, when you find your weaknesses, definitely you will find in ways to improve on those. So let us look at the uses of a teacher professional portfolio. And the first one there is promotion. So you can use this portfolio to aid in promotion. Also, as an evidence in order for you to qualify for an award. Another, to demonstrate skills and knowledge. Evidence of your successful teacher practices. And I'm sure so many of you have so many successful practices over this academic year or throughout the academic year. And the final one, which is not limited to the uses of the portfolio, that is avenue for reflection on your teaching goals and achievements. So we're going to look at the organization of it. And this is just part one because I'll be doing practical demonstration in other parts of it. So there are different ways in presenting your portfolio. It is not limited to a specific way, right? But all you're doing, just remember, you're collecting, you're presenting, and you are reflecting on all that you have done. You would collect your evidence, you present it, and you reflect on those evidence. Now, here we go. In doing the portfolio, as indicated earlier, there are different ways in getting it done. I'm just taking you through a simple way in achieving your goal in presenting your professional portfolio as a teacher. And the first thing, you're seeing the icon there, and that represents folders. So what you'll be doing is create folders on your system, on your laptop, on your tablet, whatever you're using, you create folders, right? You have a main folder and you can name it whatever you want to name it. So for example, Jaylee EPortfolio, right? Within that folder, you'll have subfolders. So basically you are filing, you're combining your things, you're organizing. Upon creating the folder, what you're going to do is to search for your evidence. The next thing is that you're gathering your evidence, right? Whether through lesson plans, your unit plan, whatever it is, you're gathering your evidence that you will present in that folder to showcase what you have done, your achievement. After the evidence, the next thing that you're going to do with them, you find the evidence. As you find them, you put them in the different folders. So you would upload to folders. And remember, based on how you organize it, you'll be loading different things to those folders based on how you're combining your things. Now, our next step, as I indicated earlier, there are different ways in presenting it, but I'm going to take the route of looking at guiding principles. The guiding principles are what we use or are what are used in order to appraise you at the end of the year, right? So there are 6 guiding principles, and I'm going to look at each of them and give you an example of sources that you can use as your use of evidence. These are taken from the teacher appraisal instrument. And the first one is teacher knows the subject or subjects that he or she teaches. Below each guiding principle within the teacher appraisal instrument, you're presented with a list, examples of sources that can be used. So for the first principle right there, you can use your lesson plans, action plans, academic certificates, teaching portfolio, scope, and sequence of subject, etc. So for example, like for the lesson plans, within guiding principle one, there is an item there that speaks to the use of technology, right? For example, if it is that you are presenting that lesson plan as evidence relating to you using technology, then of course, throughout the lesson, they should be seeing the use of technology. How you use it is not that you're indicating that you have used technology in the lesson. How was this done? Was it successfully used? So you use that as your evidence, okay? And again, there are others, as it indicated, etc. You can go to the teacher appraisal instrument, look below each guiding principle, you'll find sources of evidence. Number 2 right there, guiding principle, teacher knows how to teach the subject or subject for which he or she is responsible. And the source of evidence, lesson plans, photographs, videos, lesson observation, action plans, samples of student work, etc. And let me look at videos. Throughout the year, you have been teaching online. You may have a specific video that you'd want to showcase in your e-portfolio to indicate that you know what you are teaching, you know your thing, you know your stuff, okay? So find your evidence, start gathering your evidence and putting your thing together. Next, teacher is committed to the children in his or her care, managing the learning processes through addressing diversity, promoting character development, and what can you use as your source of evidence? Log of co-curricular activities, student register, critical incident report, lesson plans, etc. Guiding principle 4, look at teacher sharpens his or her professional skills, and tell you what, I've seen a lot of teachers go into several professional development webinars, etc. throughout the year. Don't take those for granted. You can use them as your source of evidence. So here we go with sources of evidence: certificates, written documents, observation instrument, checklist completed by supervisor or other observers, etc. Now, if it is that you had gone to a professional development session and you did not get a certificate of participation, you can use the registration that you did, because some of these webinars, etc., when they send the registration link, oftentimes you receive an email with your replies to each of those. So therefore, you can use that as a source of evidence too. What if you want to use the invitation? Something to prove that you actually went to that particular thing. You're showing that you have sharpened your skills throughout the period. Guiding principle 5, teacher interact with parents and community. And this is very important. And I believe that practically all our teachers out there this year have interacted with your parents and community in different ways, whether through email, etc. So definitely you would have source of evidence for this, and examples of those: records of communication with parents or guardians, use of social media to contact parents, parent conference, parent log, consultation log, etc. And the final guiding principle: teacher conducts himself or herself in a manner that uplifts the profession. And what can you use as your source of evidence? Student questionnaires or interviews. So you can create a little Google form questionnaire, send it out to your students, get the feedback, how they felt about you throughout the academic year. Attendance registers, peer interviews, rewards for excellent teacher performance, logbook, etc. Okay, so as indicated earlier, you're not limited to using the guiding principle. I'm just giving you an example of how you can present your portfolio. Important thing here, we have been communicating, and several persons I know out there, you have used email to communicate to the parents, etc. Right? And the year we have been sending and receiving emails. What if you want to use one of those emails as your, or some of those emails as your proof of evidence, right? Instead of screenshotting and using a picture to upload to your portfolio, you can look at converting the email thread into PDF, right? And in converting that, what you would do is to select the email that you want to print. The second thing is that you would select print. And in terms of selecting print on your screen, you would see a printer icon. That is what would be the print that you would select. You would see print all, right? Because you want to print that thread. What do I mean by a thread? Once an email was sent or received and replies started going to that email, there's a thread, okay? So the next thing that you would do for step 3 is to choose a destination. For example, Microsoft to PDF, or if you want to save to PDF, because basically what you're doing, you're converting that email into a PDF soft copy document, because what you're presenting in your ePortfolio, because it's electronic, then you need soft copies of items, right? So you choose your destination, and whether it be Microsoft to PDF or Save to PDF, basically you're converting that email to PDF. Your next step is to print. Upon selecting print, your next step, which is step 5, is to choose saved destination, which folder you want to save this in. Where are you organizing this? Will it be in guiding principle 1, guiding principle 2, etc.? So you choose your destination, where you want to put this, so you can find it when you're ready to upload to your electronic folder. And the final thing, after selecting where you are saving it and possibly changing the name of it, giving it a title, then the final thing that you will do is to save it. And once you click save, it will be converted and ready for you to use in your ePortfolio. Now, converting hard copies to soft copies. Several of us, we have received hard copies of certificates, or you might have received an hard copy of something and you want to put it in your portfolio. You can't use the hard copy because you're doing an ePortfolio. So therefore you have to convert it to soft copies. And there are different ways in doing it. You can use your scanner that you have at home, the desktop scanner, right? Or instead of using that, if you don't have a scanner, or if it is not able to scan to your device and save it, then of course what you can do, you do have a smartphone or you have a tablet, you can, instead of taking pictures, what you will do then is to download different apps. Here is one, Adobe Scan. I've been using this and I can tell you that one is excellent. You can use Scanner app, or you can use Cam Scanner. There are several out there, but I know that persons have been using these and they have been excellent, right? So why I suggest using Scanner, of course you can take pictures, but if you take the picture, say for example, the paper is crushed, right? Once you take the picture is going to reflect all of that. But if you scan it, it's going to be almost flawless. It's not going to show any dog ears that several of us are used to, right? Etc. Once you scan it, then of course, that would be almost flawless, as I said. Now, step 2 is once you have collected your evidence, they're in your folders, what you're going to do next is to think about those things. Think about these things. And in thinking about these things, what you're doing, you're reflecting on your evidence. And once you have gone through that reflection stage, throughout that stage, what you will be doing is ensuring that you write. So you're writing your reflection is on your evidence for that particular period. Step 3, I am suggesting that, yes, this is the Google Drive icon, so I'm suggesting that you load that particular folder to your Google Drive, okay? Some institutions may take the ePortfolio through the Google Drive, and there are different ways in sharing it. Some might use email, etc. But for the ePortfolio, I can tell you, possibly it's going to be larger than the file that you're allowed to send via email. So definitely you probably would have to convert it and send in a link to a Google Drive item. So to save time, load to Google Drive. And guess what? If you decided to be more creative and you want to present in a different way, you can use Google Sites, which I'm going to look at in step 4. You don't have to use Google Sites. There are persons that will be using other things. What if you want to save it using, you want to use Microsoft Word, organize and save as PDF, or if you want to create like an ebook, etc. It's up to you. But what I'm looking at is using the Google site to create your ePortfolio. So step 1, go to the search engine, whether you're using Chrome or Firefox, whatever it is. The next thing that you will do is to type in site.google.com/new in the section where would you put the URL, and that will bring up the Google site. Apart from using there, I will show you in the practical example what else you can use in getting to Google Sites. Sites is just an app from Google, just like you would have Google Form, Google Drive, the Gmail, etc. Step 3 is that you would select blank because yes, you're creating a new thing, right? Step 4 is that you would customize your cover page. In customizing your cover page, it can be so beautiful, right? In doing that cover page, you'll put your title, you'll put your, you can change a picture, etc. But I'll take it to a practical example of that demonstration in another section of this, looking at your ePortfolio. Step 5 is that you would load your files based on how you're organizing. And organizing, when you use Google Sites, then you can have your table of contents, etc. Right? And the final thing that you do after finish loading your files and you're ready, you can go ahead and publish. As a matter of fact, in publishing, you can save it and keep it to yourself. When you're ready to share it with those individuals, then you go ahead and share it just like you would normally do if you're sharing like a Google Drive file. Okay? So that is it for step 1, looking at the teacher performance appraisal ePortfolio. Okay, see you in another session when we look at creating the ePortfolio using Google Sites.
Like, share, and don't forget to subscribe.